Um, me.
Okay, then, Kashvi, you can start
Yeah.
in three, two, one.
Yes. So, good evening, everybody. Myself, Kashvi. Just a second. Yeah. So, myself, Kashvi. Today, I stand before you to present the opposition to the idea of returning all cultural treasures to their countries of origin. While the intention behind this proposition is noble, I believe there are several important reasons why this approach might not be best solution. First, preservation and protection. One of the main arguments against returning cultural treasures is that they might not be properly preserved or protected in their countries of origin. Many of these treasures were taken during times of instability or colonization, and today they are housed in world-class museums with state-of-the-art conservation techniques. These institutions have the resources and expertise to preserve these artifacts for future generations. Unfortunately, some countries may not have the infrastructure or financial resources to ensure the safety and preservation of these priceless items. Second, global cultural heritage. Another key point is that these treasures are part of a shared human heritage, not just the heritage of one specific country. Museums across the world, such as British Museum or the Louvre, offer the opportunity for people from all nations to experience and learn from the cultural achievements by others. By keeping these artifacts in global museums, we ensure that they are accessible to a wider audience, promoting cross cultural understanding and respect. Third, cultural exchange and education. The presence of cultural treasures in international museums allow people from diverse backgrounds to engage with and learn about cultures that are not their own. Returning all treasures might limit this global exchange. These artifacts are not just historical objects. They are bridges that connect people and foster global education. If returned, many of them would be locked away in private collections or inaccessible locations, denying millions the opportunity to learn from them. Fourth, practical challenges. There are also significant practical challenges to returning all cultural treasures. The logistics of moving and returning these objects would be complex, costly, and could potentially damage the artifacts in the process. Furthermore, there is often no clear legal or ethical framework to determine ownership. Many items were taken during periods of colonial rule, and the records of their original acquisition are not always clear. Fifth and the last point, potential for disputes. Finally, returning all culture treasures could lead to a multitude of legal and diplomatic disputes. Many countries and institutions may have conflicting claims to certain artifacts, and this could lead to tensions between nations. For example, some countries might argue that they have a stronger historical or cultural claim to an artifact than the country currently holding it. This could result in a complicated and ongoing series of disputes that might undermine international relations. So, in conclusion, I would say that while the idea of returning cultural treasures to their countries of origin comes from a place of good intention, we must consider the complexities and potential consequences involved. The preservation, global accessibility, and educational value of these treasures must be prioritized rather than focusing solely on returning them. Let us work together to find ways to ensure these artifacts are protected, shared, and appreciated by all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Kashvi. Next, we will be having a round of rebuttals.
I guess my speech is left, right? I should
Mine is
finish my
also
speech.
mine
Yes.
also is left.
We'll have rebuttals, then your speech.
Okay.
So,
Are we having Pia in the meeting or has
no,
she not joined yet?
she's not joined yet.
Okay, so I'm only the team member from Okay.
Would you like
Great.
to skip your rebuttal against Kashvi?
Uh, no, if Kashvi and Pranad is having any questions with the proposition team, so they can ask.
Yeah, I do have.
Yeah, please.
Just a minute. Okay, so my question is, why should cultural treasures be returned to their countries of origin to restore cultural identity and pride?
Your question is that why the cultural treasures should be returned to their country of origin, right?
Excuse me, that is a question which has been answered in the speeches and will be answered in further speeches.
But
It is
Question.
the whole
but
topic
Pia
of
didn't
the
clear
debate.
it out in her speech.
Kashvi, just repeat your question, please.
Okay, so why should cultural treasures be returned to their countries of origin to restore cultural identity and pride?
Because because the cultural treasures that were looted and that were moved back to other countries during some war, or for example in India we see during the British rule, so they should be back to their country of origin. They should
So
not be
that
kept.
again they should be robbed.
No, see,
No crosstalk.
see the artifacts. Yeah, sorry, Ivan, you
Sorry.
were saying something.
No crosstalk, please. One question only. Do not interrupt Pranat.
Uh, yeah,
Continue question.
okay. So, Kashvi, I guess the answer is very, very clear that that the treasure, that the artifacts, that the artworks were totally belong to the country of origin only, and they should be back to them. Just a second.
Okay.
Yeah. Next question. Pranat, you were saying something.
Yeah,
Next
actually I had a
speech,
question.
please.
Speech,
Next
no
speech.
question.
No, you can ask your question during the next round of rebuttals.
Okay, works.
Okay, then,
Should I start?
so proposition two.
Opposition.
Proposition two, please.
Okay, okay, okay. Thank you. So yes, I'm starting my speech in three, two, one. Did you know that over 90% of Africa's cultural heritage is held outside the continent? Much of it looted during the colonial rule. Imagine the cultural void left behind and the injustice this represents to millions. Good evening, everyone. It is a privilege to stand before you today to discuss the motion this House would return all cultural treasures to their countries of origin. Today, we firmly propose that cultural treasures taken from their countries of origin must be returned. This debate is not just about the artifacts that we're talking about or the artworks. It is about justice, dignity. It is about justice, dignity, and restoring the heritage of the country of origin. Many cultural treasures were acquired through colonial exploitation, looting, or unethical practices, often without the consent of the local population of the country of origin. Returning these treasures is an act of reparative justice, recognizing historical wrongs and fostering reconciliation. Respected members and the judge, I would like to pay your attention on the United Nations Article 27. Article 27 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights states that everyone has a right to participate in the cultural life of the community. By denying countries their cultural treasures, we violate this principle and undermine the identity and dignity of those communities. Restitution is not merely an act of goodwill. Please consider this. Restitution is not merely an act of goodwill, it is a recognition of rights that have been historically denied. My second and the most important thing in my speech is that returning the artifacts to the country of origin or to the local community which it truly belongs also represents international cooperation and diplomacy. Returning cultural treasures can serve as a catalyst for improved diplomatic relations between nations. Countries that have engaged in repatriation discussions have often found common ground through dialogue about shared histories. And this is not just about the theory or just the written fact. We have seen in recent times also that France's recent decision to return artifacts to Benin has opened avenues for cooperation in various sectors, including tourism and education. This demonstrates how restitution can foster positive international relationships. Returning cultural treasures is an acknowledgement of historical injustices and a step toward a more equitable global order. It restores cultural heritage to its rightful owners, promotes mutual respect, and allows communities to reclaim their identity and history. This motion is not just about the objects, it is about justice, dignity, and healing historical wounds. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Kushi. So next we'll have opposition to Pranat.
Yes. On the self count of one, two, three. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're discussing a simple yet misguided idea, returning all cultural treasures to their countries of origin. Let's look at the reality. Some people think it's easy to just give back these treasures, but they forget that many countries can't protect them. The Patherman marbles, for example, were damaged in Greece but are safe in the British Museum. Do we really want to risk them being stolen or destroyed again? It's like giving a precious gift to someone who can't take care of it. These treasures belong to everyone, not just one country. Keeping them in universal museums helps people from all over the world learn and appreciate different cultures. It's narrow minded to think that they should be kept only in one place. Returning these artifacts is also a complicated process. It's not just about giving things back, it involves a lot of red tape and legal issues. It's like trying to solve a puzzle without all the pieces. In conclusion, those who support repatriation often overlook the practical challenges and the global significance of these treasures. Let's be responsible and ensure these artifacts are preserved and accessible for everyone, not just a few. Thank you.
Thank you, Pranat. So now we will have rebuttals.
Question for proposition.
Yes.
Yes.
Just a second. Yeah, if all cultural treasures are returned to their countries of origin, don't you fear that this could set a precedent that would lead to the depletion of museum collections worldwide, potentially harming the broader cultural and educational landscape?
Okay, such a great question. Thank you for the question, Pranat. I feel that you are talking about the museum that the museum will be empty if all the cultural treasure will be returned back to the country of origin. But don't you think that it is not good to like store all the raw things that in the past uh, in those countries museum? Don't you think that is so unlawful and it's so unethical
Unlawful.
to like yeah to like take or like robe or like forcefully take the things from a country that was once very underdeveloped and very deprived of all the conditions, and now like you are decorating them in your museums and like showing them. And your second point about the educational concern, yeah. Uh,
Yep.
if I'm right, yeah. So the countries that we're talking about, like in like the developed countries that were the colonial powers back then, they should like they should like show their cultural identities or like their cultural values to their museum, not some other countries' artifacts.
Follow.
What do you think of it?
Follow.
No,
My
Kushi,
answer
you
is
can go
completed.
next.
Sorry, what?
You can ask after Kushi's question.
No, Pranad, if you're not satisfied with your answer, so please you can say that.
Yeah.
Are you
So
satisfied?
actually, of course
No.
not. So
Okay.
yeah. So you mentioned about that we are keeping, sorry, the countries who have robbed those culture heritages or treasures and stuff. So let me ask you a question: why were they robbed first? If we are able to rob them, wouldn't returning them like raise a concern of theft and all? Because it has already been stolen. So I guess your countries or the origin countries are not that safe, okay, to keep those precious gifts, as I already mentioned in my speech.
Yeah.
Basically, they are not capable of handling them.
Okay. When we all know that British has looted many precious artifacts and precious objects from India, and they are now like decorating in their museums and like they are showing to the globe. But
So does it mean,
India,
okay, sorry, continue.
yeah, okay. Yeah, so India was like the most prosperous country if we talk like the era of silk route. Like India was holding about 20 to 25% of the GDP in the global trade. So India was already prosperous. But during the colonial loot and all of these things, the Britishers has like looted all the things and decorating in their museums. And and I understand your concern about like if the British government or if any colonial government return the artifacts to the original countries, they might be get damaged or in the process and everything. But it is their duty to return the artifacts because in the past they have taken away from them. Okay. And and if any country is like not capable of handling them, so I guess that the government should give them funds to store those artifacts because those artifacts belongs to them, not the colonial powers, not them to like showcase to the world. Any more
Okay,
questions, Pranad and
are
Kashvi?
I have a question, Khushi.
Yes.
Okay. So, what steps can be taken to ensure that the repatriation of cultural treasures is done responsibly with proper care and respect for their historical value?
Okay. So I guess the first and foremost thing that that should be taken care of is like the colonial government should give funds to the original countries if the countries are not capable of holding the artifacts properly. You
Why?
know, because they have looted the original countries
So the
very
countries who
much.
already owned them were not that powerful, right?
no cross
No,
talk.
So they shouldn't be.
No cross
no,
talk.
no, 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 no,
Wait for one
Evan, but
question.
no.
this is a discussion. So, like, we are asking that, like, Khushi said this.
Yes, but let someone finish their speech first.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So coming to Pranad, like why should the government give them all this? The government has looted already a huge amount from the original countries. So don't you think that they should repay them back? Or if they are not repaying them back, they should at least give the funds to protect those artifacts if they are really so concerned about the artifacts. If the colonial governments were so concerned about the artifacts, why would they loot it from the original countries way back then? Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
please
So
speak.
again, my question raises that you're telling me to like return all those artifacts and stuff to the
Yes.
countries who already own them. But if the countries who robbed, for example, British, were that powerful that they can easily rob them, wouldn't that be a concern again for the future, right? Someone could just come and rob them. Okay. And again, you mentioned about that example of India, like British should return all those things which they took from India as it was one of the as it contributed to the GDP. So why do you think that? Because there are about 287 million illiterate adults in India. Okay,
Hmm.
note my number.
Yeah.
These many people are illiterate, and you are telling me to like return all those facts to India. Why do you think so? There are many people, and first of all, yeah, okay, for continue on, sorry.
Do you think that people that are living in Britain really respects Indian cultural heritage? Do you believe? And the fact that you are stating about the illiteracy level of India. So like first, see, literacy, the yeah, the literal definition of literacy means that a person can read, write, or understand in any language. Okay, but the report also shows that okay, the person is not able to read or write, but every person in India understand its cultural significance because the culture has been rooted, it is connected to the people. Like, for example, if you are going to a village in Rajasthan, okay, and we all know that illiteracy level of Rajasthan is like very very high. But 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 in today also, the people of Rajasthan respects their culture because the culture is like not related to the literacy level of a country or the literacy level of the people. It is connected to their hearts. It is connected to their soul. So
Yeah, so are
I
you
hope
done?
it answers your question.
Of course not.
Of course not. Good.
Are
We
you
are
done?
reaching
Okay.
a
It's a good
stalemate here.
debate.
You have been
Yeah.
asking the same question in 20 different ways, and Kushi has been giving the same answer in 100 different ways. Can we move on to another aspect of the discussion?
Yep, again a
Okay.
question for Khushi. First of all, I would like to give a reply and then ask a question. Am I allowed for that?
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, first of all, you in your earlier question, you mentioned that does British people respect Indian culture? If they don't respect Indian culture, they wouldn't keep those treasures in the museums. And secondly, if India has their culture rooted in them, then Britishers wouldn't have been like wouldn't be able to steal all those like artifacts from them. And secondly, one question is that for you, isn't it possible to achieve cultural significance and preservation through collaborative efforts such as loans, joint exhibitions, and shared conservation practices rather than outreturn? outright
Okay.
threat,
Your last question is that a collaborative effort should be made. Yeah.
rather than outright return.
So, like, what do you mean that the artifact will be not returned to the original countries?
Of course not.
So, like, what is the meaning of this collaborative effort?
Collaborative, we could have like joint operations, exhibitions, and stuff, and shared conservation practices
Okay. So, like,
to like
will
to
the
con.
colonial government fund? So, like, will the colonial government give like funds
Why are you
to
only targeting colonial government? There are other governments.
because the
Target.
colonial powers have like looted the their colonies. That's why because it's the term given to the countries that have looted the colonies. That's why I'm saying colonial governments. Colonial governments comprised of Britain, USA, and many more things. So, like the
But
collaborative
the
effort
return
that
of
you're talking
all,
about,
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
but the
please
return
continue.
of all cultural treasures could lead to a slippery slope where a large portion of a museum's collection could be requested back, potentially undermining the institution's ability to function. Right?
Which institution ability to function? Can you please
Museums.
brief? Can you please brief your question?
There, I'm not asking a question. I'm giving a statement.
Okay.
Data
Pranath,
sets from
your
understanding
first two
time.
questions were, yeah, yes,
Not,
Ivan.
this isn't another round of speeches. You, each side gets one question, crisp answers. I'm timing you 30 seconds each.
I guess, Kash, we should ask a question and answer.
Okay,
Kashmir,
time.
please ask.
You have 30
Hello,
seconds.
am I
30 seconds to make a question, 30 seconds for an answer. Three,
okay?
two,
So
one, start.
I can ask you. Okay, can can replicating artifacts help restore historical contexts and deepen understanding of the cultures from which they originated?
Yes. Yes, yes, returning the cultural artifacts and the artworks will of course like strengthen the relationships between the countries and also like represent some dignity and equitable order in the world. And of course, the timer is ticking, and I'm not able to answer my answer properly. Chalo, the timer has stopped. I hope Kashmir. You are satisfied with my very crisp answer.
A question for Kushi.
Yes.
Start.
Don't you think that keeping these artifacts in a well-funded and secure museums allow for greater global accessibility and educational opportunities, which could be lost if they are repatriated to less accessible locations?
Start, start, Kushi.
No, because because there also the artifacts are stored in their museums and also so when they will be returned to their original countries, the government of the countries will also preserve them. So like it will create a wider audience for the educational purpose or for everything like in India we are seeing that many my timer is
Yep.
fourth.
Okay.
Yeah, this
15
timer thing is
seconds.
so annoying. I'm not able to think properly to frame my answer.
Yeah, but you have reached a stalemate. You have only been giving out newer ways of saying your speeches. I'm starting with feedback session.
Oh, thank you.
So, Khushi, you gave a
Yeah.
proper format to your speeches. You enunciated well, and you had added emotion to your speeches, which was very good. Your content was great, 8 out of 10. You gave a proper hook, and citing the directives were amazing. Okay, next is Kashvi. Content, I give you 7 out of 10. You gave a few good solutions. Your style was good enough. You did not give a proper format for your debate. And enunciation, you should try adding a bit more emotions. Pranad, you speak too fast. You speak too fast, and you should try to focus on a few points and expand on that instead of bombarding your opponents with a truckload of information. And as a general feedback, all of you should learn what a POI is. And you should try to come up with good things. If you needed a bit of time to think about POIs, you should have asked me. So all I have to say is add a bit of format to your speech, give emotions, and use few points and expand on that. That's all from my end. You would like to, you can give a few feedbacks for me.
Thank you, Ivan. Um, there are like no typical feedbacks that I wanted to give you because I guess that you are in which class? You are like much junior to me, I guess.
Seven.
Ivan,
Very,
am I
very
audible?
junior, I guess.
Seven.
Yeah, yeah. You're very, very junior. Can I just ask you in which class? If you're
Seven.
comfortable.
Seventh
Seventh.
grade.
Great, 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 great. So like the feedback, I like always wanted to give the positive feedbacks to the people because you know I am not that much experienced in debating and so these things. So the positive feedback to you, Ivan, is that you are in seventh grade and like your speaking skills are too good
Okay.
and of course, the technical skills with the Zoom meetings are also very, very good. So, in such a young age, you are like managing all the stuff with the team debater teams also and with your studies also. So it's a great work. And thank you so much for letting us participate in today's session. And thank you, Pranad and Kashvi also. Yeah,
Thank you,
today's
guys.
rebuttal
It was a great
rounds.
debate.
Yeah, today's rebuttal rounds were like मजा आ गया आज के rebuttal rounds में. Thank you so much. So
But you
yeah,
answered really well. Like your answers were really, really good. Matlab, you answered really confidently.
Yeah,
thank you.
actually.
I'm just improving. I hope that I will stand a great on a great stage.
You
Chalo.
are.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Kashvi.
I'm adjourning the meeting now.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank